The subtle melancholy of the angel devil. In Chainsaw Man, the angel devil is unique amongst devils and devil hunters alike. He is known for being a relatively peaceful devil. He never attacks humans unprovoked and bears minimal ill will towards them. His blasé attitude to work singles him out, as he'd rather spend an afternoon eating ice creams or risk death rather than carrying out his job as a member of public safety. He drifts through life in a detached manner, dispatching of humans and devils alike with apathy when demanded. Before I go any further, I just want to say that this video does contain spoilers for the rest of the manga. If you haven't read the manga, maybe proceed with caution. The Angel Devil is my favourite character from Chainsaw Man, and I really want to dig deeper into his character beyond what we might see on the surface. A State of Stasis. The Angel Devil is dissatisfied with the status quo. He is uncomfortable with Makima's leadership, yet he struggles to recall the past and with it, key details about the world. He might be dissatisfied with status quo, but he lacks the information and power to launch a proper resistance and create any sort of meaningful change. He hates his job, which officially involves killing other devils, and unofficially humans too. But he can't resign from public safety, as that would be a death sentence for him. He's hesitant to use his powers, as it would mean taking the lifespan of an often innocent person to create weapons. It's hard to believe that the Angel Devil is the second strongest devil hunter after Kishibe in Division 4, given that he spends most of his days mulling around, trying to avoid work and eating ice cream. But perhaps that is the point. The Angel Devil once loved others and was in turn loved by them, but after a traumatic event in which his powers played a key role, they were killed and he has struggled to form connections ever since. The Angel Devil's ability to drain the lifespan of any human he touches further prevents him from forming new connections, and therefore he further isolates himself, despite craving meaning intimacy deep down. These circumstances result in a stasis where he isn't happy, but he feels like he can't do anything to change his situation either. So he drifts through life by doing the bare minimum and carrying an attitude of indifference. The Angel Devil is left in limbo without a past and without a future. When it comes to the Angel Devil, his stasis is both a form of subtle resistance as it is an embodiment of hopelessness. A sad angel's thesis. The Angel Devil is defined by a sort of lethargy, as he drifts through life with little interest in anything, without much of a desire to take any sort of action. Whilst it's not immediately obvious, once you take a closer look at his character and backstory, it's clear that he's presenting classic symptoms of depression and trauma. Each person's reaction to trauma is different. Some might internalize the anger and take it out on others, whilst other people might withdraw from society and isolate themselves. Pete Walker, an American psychotherapist, wrote a book called Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving, in which he outlines 4 key responses to trauma, especially complex trauma. In his work, Pete Walker goes beyond the common flight versus flight responses to include 2 other responses, which are fawn and freeze. Freeze revolves around avoidance, withdrawal, and inaction, which we can see like in Angel's case, as he doesn't really seem particularly close to anyone when he's first introduced. Inaction is one of the things that defines his character. He's always kind of just like fumbling along in life and drifting by. Drifting is very much a symptom of the freeze response to trauma. The Angel Devil's memory of his trauma are largely clouded as he struggles to remember his past. This is partially because of Makima's grip on his psyche, but it's also, I imagine, partially because of his own guilt and distress around the traumatic event. He has his very own blue screen of death. Many of Angel Devil's defining character traits also mirror symptoms of depression, from having little energy or interest in things to feeling hopeless and having thought about death. Here's like a list of symptoms of depression, and I've highlighted the symptoms that I think the Angel Devil displays, finding that he does seem to exhibit most of them. I just want to dig a little deeper into some of the symptoms. Some will probably hit harder than others, especially because Angel is obviously a supporting character, so he doesn't get that much screen time. But I think the time we do see him is very effective, and we learn a lot about his character. So to begin with, loss of interest or pleasure. The Angel Devil shows very little interest in working, and there's not really many things that bring him pleasure or happiness, with the exception of eating ice cream. When you look at characters like Power and Denji, You can see that they really display a very wide range of emotions, from joy and exuberance to, bone-chilling fear. They have all sorts of motivations. In comparison, the Angel Devil is somewhat of an emotionally muted character, killing with a cold apathy and avoiding work with a casual indifference, despite the potentially severe consequences of these kind of actions. Increased cravings for food. Well, we know that Angel spends a lot of his time eating on ice cream or corpse heads. This is partly to avoid work as well. This links to the tiredness and lack of energy, with even small tasks taking a lot of extra effort. So there's a scene at the beginning of Angel and Aki's partnership where Angel tells Aki that eating ice cream has taken most of his energy and he doesn't want to do any work for the day. Maybe this is just like a cheeky excuse for the Angel Devil to get away from work, but it's very apparent how little energy he has, and he feels very lethargic as a character. Obviously, I'm not just saying that he's depressed because he eats ice cream all the time. I think there's definitely much more than that. Yeah, so there's other symptoms, so slow thinking, speaking, or body movements, as well as trouble thinking, concentrating, making decisions, and remembering things. The Angel Devil struggles to remember his traumatic past and the truth about Makima. He sludges along with completing tasks, even if it means he risks his own death. There is at least maybe 2 instances, I don't know the exact number, where Aki fends off enemies from attacking Angel when the Angel Devil is being too slow to notice or react. And of course, this just could also be because there's a lot of people attacking them. Fighting is very fast-paced and sometimes it's hard to keep up. It always seems like he's not fully concentrating on fighting. Lastly, it's clear that the Angel Devil talks a lot slower than most of the other characters, with the case in point being his introduction in episode 11. This is especially apparent in the anime where there's actually voice acting, and he takes his sweet time in munching through a corpse head and then slowly asking Aki for a handkerchief. In the background, there's bodies being strewn around and heads being sliced off. And I think there's this really great sense of contrast between the Angel Devil's sort of slowness versus the fast-paced violence that surrounds him. And then, of course, there's the emptiness and hopelessness, which, are a big part of depression. And I think these kind of feelings are something that underlie the Angel Devil as a whole. As I've explained before, when talking about the sort of stasis that surrounds his character, he feels very little hope about his situation, whether that's because of his inability to form connections due to his power or his lack of ability to change his circumstances, and it feels very much like he's already given up on life. Feelings of worthlessness, guilt, fixating on past failures, self-blame, and recurrent thoughts of death. Yeah, that's sort of the beginning of his arc. So, it's another day of Angel moping around, refusing to work, and Aki is tasked with, making him work. Aki reminds the Angel Devil that he can be put down if he doesn't work, and the Angel Devil simply responds by saying, "I guess I'd rather die than work." Initially, his response appears to be a throwaway remark, but as the story progresses, it's quite clear how little the Angel Devil values his own life, and how much time he spends thinking about his own death. Unlike Angel, Aki has very few years left to live, and he's aware that his end date is coming soon. Whilst discussing this, the Angel Devil remarks that Aki is so lucky. It's not really the response that we expect when we talk about death, and his words highlight his own melancholic attitude towards life, as he says, "As long as you're alive, you have to keep on putting in effort. Once you die, you don't have to try anymore." And it really demonstrates how the Angel Devil has long run out of any passion or desire for life. There's another key moment which occurs when the Hurricane Devil traps Denji and Reese in a school building, with Aki and the Angel Devil becoming part of the collateral damage, with the hurricane almost blowing Angel away. During the scene, the Angel Devil tells Aki that it's fine for him to let go, that Aki doesn't need to hold on to him, as the Angel Devil has been ready to die for ages. And he says, "It only means today was my time." These words demonstrate how depressed the Angel Devil has been and how much death has been on his mind. When the wind sweeps him high up into the air, the Angel Devil closes his eyes as if to prepare for his final passing, and he sees the image of his beloved who has passed away. It's as if she's welcoming him into the afterlife. The Angel Devil soon wakes up to the unpleasant discovery that he's still alive, and Aki has also sacrificed a portion of his already short lifespan to save him. The Angel Devil thought his life wasn't worthy of saving, but Aki proved that wrong, and showed him that he was valued. I also want to add that the Angel Devil, being an angel, has a huge set of wings, and he doesn't even bother to use them to escape the tornado in this scene, which shows that he was really inviting death to bring him over to the other side. It's no surprise that the Angel Devil is so depressed, given that he once lived a happy and idyllic life, which was then violently robbed of him by Makima. He didn't choose to be in the situation he is now, but equally he doesn't have the power or knowledge to break free. So he remains stuck, drifting in a sort of stasis. Talking about Makima, I want to bring up a sort of unexpected parallel. After the characters return from hell, Aki and Angel have a conversation about leaving public safety. During that conversation, Aki mentions Makima as one of the reasons why he wants to continue working for public safety, despite the dangers that it presents him with. This prompts the Angel Devil to ask Aki why he loves Makima so much. Aki can't give a clear answer, and perhaps his attraction to her is simply part of her power of control. Speaking of the devil, Aki's response is cut short by Makima herself. But I actually saw this interesting fan comic that circulated online on Twitter, which shows a continuation of the scene, how Aki might have responded if he wasn't cut short by Makima. And in this fan comic, Aki actually describes Angel when he's talking about what he loves about Makima. So reading this comic actually made me realize that whilst Angel and Makima initially appear to be very different characters, there are important ways in which the two parallel each other throughout the series. To begin with, they're visually similar. Both have long reddish-orange hair and wear the same public uniforms, like the black and white suit. But beyond that, I think their attitude towards humans is something to consider. So in the world of Chainsaw Man, the more affection a devil holds for humans, the more human they appear, with Makima and Angel being the most human-looking devils. Both Makima and the Angel Devil are fond of humans, but there's a key difference which sets them apart. Makima loves humans in the same way that she loves dogs, as cute, dumb creatures who will submit to her commands and be obedient. In contrast, the Angel Devil learns to love humans for who they are, as he learns about human culture and languages from the villagers who adopt him. He also shows gratitude towards him for being willing to accept a devil like him. The Angel Devil achieves what Makima only wishes she could, the ability to connect with humans as equals. He loves humans and is loved by them. He even forms a loving relationship with a human and settles into the village. What stops Makima from being able to fulfill her original desire to be loved and have equal relationships is her desire to control humans, which twists her perception of them into pets to be controlled, whose best trait becomes obedience, rather than any other trait that might be associated with humans. But after the Angel Devil's village is destroyed, he also struggles to form connections. What stops the Angel Devil from forming connections in the present is his natural tendency to drain humans of their lifespan when touching them. Touching people is a really important act of intimacy. Seeing how things could go wrong with his past trauma is perhaps something that makes him hesitant to use those powers and also to form any sort of connection or closeness with humans. But we see over the course of the story that he's able to form meaningful connections with characters like Aki, which allow him to experience intimacy and care once again. Breaking human-devil boundaries. If you're looking for the person who hates devils the most, it's probably Aki. And, the Angel Devil himself is no saint. He declares that he is a devil first before he is an angel and wishes to see humans suffer painful deaths. So it's no surprise that the two get off to a bumpy start, with Aki telling the Angel Devil to his face, "I can't even pretend to get along with you." In the beginning, Aki uses the Angel Devil as a means to an end. Makima has instructed Aki to manage Angel, and finally force him to be a productive member of public safety. And Aki hopes to achieve this in order to prove that he is worthy of being enlisted on the Gun Devil mission, which is the reason he is a public safety devil hunter in the first place. Aki isn't particularly fond of Angel at first, and even threatens the Angel Devil with being killed after he refuses to work. However, as the story progresses, the two become closer. Both have lost people close to them, whether that's Aki's family and Himeno, for Angel Devil, his village and his girlfriend. Both of them are in need of connection and care in this violent, ruthless world. Given the nature of his powers, people tend to keep a distance from the Angel Devil, and he's gotten used to it. But Aki takes the Angel Devil by surprise when he says he's happy to lend a handkerchief to him, a simple act of kindness that the Angel Devil has been starved of for too long. As work buddies, the two get to know each other better, with the Angel Devil talking about things with Aki that he might not want to discuss with anyone else, whether this be talking about Aki's lifespan, which he's obviously trying to keep a secret from the rest of public safety as much as he can, to Angel telling him about secrets and the information he can scrape about the world of devils and hell and whatever the hell is supposed to be going on in the series. The two are pulled closer together when Aki chooses to sacrifice a portion of his lifespan to grab onto the Angel Devil and save him from being blown away by the Hurricane Devil. Aki's words and actions remind the Angel Devil that his life is one worthy of saving and also living, something it seems that the Angel Devil rarely hears or believes anymore. Together, the two manage to overcome the human-devil boundary, the very divide that drives the conflict of the story, and are able to find intimacy, care, and trust for each other. After making it out of hell, Aki becomes increasingly concerned about the safety of his co-workers and uncomfortable with working with public safety. Their time in hell was darker and more violent than any encounter they've had with the devil on Earth. And I think a lot of characters, like Power, have been traumatized, and it's not something that Aki lets slip easily. The Angel Devil also loses both his arms during that fight. Aki later visits Angel in hospital, telling him that he's put together a letter of recommendation, which he hopes will save the Angel Devil from being put down by public safety, as he is a devil who is no longer useful to the organization. The Angel Devil then brings up the rumor about Aki being public safety's #1 devil hater and remarks that he doesn't find this to be the case. And in response to Aki's actions in trying to save Angel from being put down, the Angel Devil also promises to him that he will do everything he can to help Aki stay alive, which unfortunately leads the Angel Devil to suggest speaking to Makima to see if she can help. On their way to find her, the Angel Devil tells Aki to run to the opposite side of the world to avoid his tragic fate. And this time he's totally serious, even if his suggestion isn't as well thought out as, Aki's letter of recommendation, or even if it seems a little silly. It also shows in that moment that they know that they are in a terrible situation, but they are dreaming even desperately of a way out, even if it seems absurd and impossible. And it's because of the connection that the Angel Devil is able to dream or imagine other things again, even if what he's saying is not the most practical solution. When Makima later manipulates Aki into accepting control, it is the Angel Devil's closeness to Aki that transforms the scene into a catalyst for remembering his past, as the Angel Devil once again loses someone he cherishes due to Makima's control. For once, he actually feels something again, and this allows him to snap out of her hypnotic grip and recall the terrible things that she did to him and finally seek justice and put an end to her reign. At the end of their character arcs, the two have grown from uncomfortably tolerating each other's existence as co-workers to developing a genuine intimacy and care for each other, even trying to find a way out of the terrible scheme that Makima has created and make it towards a better life. But just as the two have come together and become so close in life, the two meet their violent ends back to back. The original sin and Lucifer's fall from heaven. One of the key parts of Denji's character is this recurring dream or vision of a door with lots of posters on it, and every time he comes close to the door, he's told that he can open it. And this door represents Denji's past trauma, past actions which might bring up difficult feelings of guilt, or change his perception of who he is and where he comes from. Like Denji, the Angel Devil also holds dark memories that have long since been buried away. Whilst the Angel Devil's traumatic event is never given the same visual symbolism as Denji's, his backstory is equally important, and it's implied and circled around several times before the details are finally revealed in the finale. When Makima introduces Aki to his new body, Makima is keen to emphasize that the Angel Devil is vicious in nature, even if he appears innocuous at first, to make sure that Aki doesn't become too fond of him. Makima also conveniently leaves out the role she played in the massacre, although Angel leaves hints. During the scene where they're discussing the fable of the country mouse and the town mouse, Angel says this: "I'd rather be the country mouse, but Makima caught me and brought me to the city," taking him away from the life that was once idyllic for him. Makima's words leave the reader wondering what sinister acts the Angel Devil has committed and what violent potential he holds, especially as it contrasts his usually harmless and casual nature. Whilst the other devil hunters make their first kill relatively quickly, the Angel Devil only makes his first kill several chapters after his introduction, and he only does it to make sure that Denji has the blood to be revived. When the Angel Devil kills, his words are haunting. "You are going to heaven," he tells the dying girl as he drains her remaining lifespan with a kiss on her fingers. The look on his face is chilling when he makes a kill. When Reese is violently impaled with a spear, the Angel Devil looks down from above, expressionless. The Angel Devil rarely attacks, but when he does, his actions are efficient and calculated, a contrast to the bombastic and excessive violence of characters like Denji and Power. The scenes I found most chilling were not the Chainsaw Man's crazy fights where blood was spilled everywhere and limbs hacked off, but rather called apophatic scenes when the angel devil carries out an act of divine execution. Because of the angel devil's apophatic and relatively harmless nature, when he finally kills, the act becomes sudden and ruthless. After Makima forces Aki to make a contract, the angel devil is finally able to regain his memory. He recalls that he once lived in a village where humans treated him with kindness and he became part of their community. He was happy, and so were they. One day, Makima arrives on the beach and makes the angel devil show her his powers, resulting in a massacre where everyone in the village, including his lover, is killed. His traumatic memory brings up an overwhelming sort of sadness and sense of injustice, where a life that was once joyful and wholesome has been taken away, and potentially guilt, around committing terrible sin of killing the whole village. Whilst he did not want the villagers to be killed, and he was forced to do so by Makima, in the end it was his powers and actions that made the tragedy happen. During the finale, Makima reveals to Denji that he murdered his father. Denji blocked it from his own memory so he wouldn't have to confront the dark truth. Makima's manipulation of the angel devil has a similar effect, in making him bear the responsibility and guilt for killing those he loved most, even if it was ultimately against his wishes. Makima has the same message, for both the angel devil and Denji. You are a more wicked person than you'd like to think. Your actions created your current misery. Don't delude yourself in thinking that you deserve happiness when you're much better off as being one of my dogs. Resistance is futile. Aki's forced submission to Makima gives Angel the fuel to finally remember past injustice and challenge Makima. However, his act of resistance is a knee-jerk reaction to his painful memories, and he has only a moment to compose himself and launch an attack against Makima. The angel devil summons a 10 years use sword and lunges towards Makima's neck, hoping to put an end to her cruelty. Perhaps he was naive and overestimated his own powers whilst underestimating hers. Perhaps he had been weakened by the events during Hell and the physical injuries he had accumulated. Either way, it turned out that resistance was futile, as he lasts a mere seconds before Makima has him lying on the floor submitting to her. Conclusion. The Angel's Devil story might be a tragic one, but the tragedy is only made possible through the highs and lows that he experiences, the joy and connection he once cherished being snatched away. In contrast, Makima wants to create this world where there aren't really highs and lows. There's not really anything to be felt, where humans are sort of cared for as their pets. Whilst Makima states that her actions are driven by a desire to create a better world for her pet humans, her record of destroying whatever peace or joy characters like Denji or Angel experience seems to suggest otherwise. The Angel Devil's depression and lethargy throughout the series highlight that the better world that Makima is trying to create is an unhappy one, with countless sacrifices being made on the way, with other people's notion of happiness or a better world being trashed so that she can make hers. She achieves her leadership through manipulation and bloodshed. The Angel Devil's final act resistance is not completely futile. In his final act, he regains a fuller sense of self and finally acts on his own will for once, rather than just sluggishly following the instructions of public safety. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I've wanted to make anime analysis videos for a really long time. This is my first one. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It would be really great if people want to follow, and then you'll get the video whenever it's posted. I just want to say that Angel Devil is the best character in Chainsaw Man. Good night.